I didn't recognize myself. Hello, we're back. First, I want to say I had to apologize to Chris because I ran up on him the other day, yesterday, and I felt like he took my job because I was talking to Fred about this, and he's doing such a great job, dumb on air, but I was pretty rough on him, saying he's not a domainer. He didn't come from here. We've been doing this for years. But Fred pick you to do this? But anyway, Chris is doing a great job. You got to check out Dumb on Air. Even the episode with Monty seemed to work out, so if he can get that fucking going. All right, I wanted to say Fred said no roasting today, but I got to say, Fred, not a lot of lookers here. Some ugly mother. Okay, so we're gonna get rolling. You guys, I'm gonna have these two introduce themselves. I know them briefly. Andriy is the CEO of Nicknames, originally from Ukraine. Now he's out of Austin. Austin, good. Texas, yeah. Okay, but Andriy, tell us a little bit about yourself. Then we'll go over to Aron.
That's it we got?
Introduce yourself and your company, please.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Yeah, so my name is Andriy, and I'm in the domain name industry for more than 20 years. In Ukraine, we have a domain name registrar, nick.ua, and it's the largest registrar in Ukraine. And the war, when started, we decided to go in a different market with the nicknames.com. And when we realized that Doma creating this amazing platform, we decided to join, and now we are one of the registrars who fully integrated with Doma. So you can tokenize domains, you can fractionalize domains, you can list your domains for sale, you will get notifications that someone made an offer for your domain name, and much more. And now we're also preparing some other tools to make it more simple and easier to work with Doma protocol. And yeah.
Aron Meystedt, owner of Symbolics and dabble in domain trading. Also run a little AI startup where we help people think through their ideas and kind of launch businesses. Invest in a bunch of random different things. Really curious, as Fred knows, about fractionalization. I'm honestly somebody that's in the middle somewhere, but the more I hear, the more it sounds interesting. So good to be here.
Well, thanks, Aron. And Aron really, in my opinion, I think a lot of you that know him, a real pioneer in this space. It's been over really a decade now when you were fractionalizing a 3-letter domain. And I was a real opportunist right after that. I said, hey, what'd the lawyers tell you? And he's like, hey, it cost me a lot of money. I'm not telling you. And I said, hey, nice to meet you. But Aron, tell us a little bit about your intro into not, well, we'll get back to the symbolics, but really about your intro into fractionalizing names, why you wanted to do that then, where do you think it's basically grown to? What is really the interest in fractionalizing domain names then and now?
Yeah, and I have a cold, so bear with me. Several years ago, I have a email list of about 1,000 people in the domain space that I've done business with, and we wanted to fractionalize a few domain names, and we did, and we found that there was a ton of demand because I was really interested in democratizing access to this asset class as we saw the values just completely explode. Regular people had no way to participate in the market, so the interest was, can we democratize this and let anybody in the space? And it went really well. We fractioned several names. Clearly, I just kept a ledger on my computer. The problem was secondary market liquidity. It's like, where do we get it? Do we just free fraction stuff amongst ourselves? So that's kind of where it fell apart, and a little bit of the legal gray area issues. But what Fred and Doma, I think, are working on is the demand side. And if the demand can follow the supply that is in the room, then I think it's going to be huge. But that secondary transaction liquidity is where it kind of falls apart when you kind of do, some niche product amongst yourselves with a group of people that you know. So liquidity here is actually seems like it's crazy. Like, they've got the network, they're building demand. Bitcoin people are across the street. If they come in and jump in this space, then I think we're all really happy.
Thanks, Aron. And I think you're right. What Doma is doing is really the second part. It's that secondary market, and really the difficult part that a lot of people, we've seen the fractionalization at Rally Road, and it actually has worked out, as I'd say, a little bit better than I thought, because initially I was like, I'll take it easy on the IPO. I'll just wait till it's in the secondary market. And then there wasn't a lot of activity. That said, recently a few people have gotten out of MJ.com, but I'm really pumped, Fred, about what's going on with the portfolios now. And just that talk earlier of, it really just makes sense as a fractional owner, a person that's buying into a bucket of names. Really makes sense, because if you're buying into one, which I think is still fantastic on the protocol, but you're waiting for that one name maybe to sell on the in when it's a bucket of names, you really just have more activity, I think, generating income. We'll get back to symbolics, but we're going to jump around here a little bit. Andriy has it over at Nicknames. You're the first registrar that integrated the DOMA protocol. What I was curious about is, what did you have to do? A lot of us are familiar with a lot of registrars. What did you have to do to be able to do that, to be able to integrate? What changes or updates did you have to make to your system?
DOMA protocol has amazing API and amazing technical support. So to integrate that, we just had to program all this integration with the APIs, and it's not hard. Like, it's not complicated. And our team was focused to integrate fully, because we know that like few registrars working with DOMA protocol, but they not supporting all the functionality of the DOMA protocol. And our goal was to support all the functionality. And right now we're also working on bulk tokenization. So when you have your portfolio and you want to tokenize 10 domains at a time, we're working on that workflow too, because we want to make it easy for domain holders to list domains on DOMA, to fractionalize them later, and everything else. Another problem that we see right now is that a lot of people registering domains and they are not super attractive. So they listing them on DOMA, they listing on the marketplaces, but names not that valuable. And right now, like, we're working on the search engine for premium domains from registries. So we have access to 1 million domain names, premium domain names, that very beautiful, but they're a little bit more expensive than regular registration. So some of them, they cost $30, some of them per year, some of them $500, some of them $5,000 or more. And we're making it very easy to choose which domain I want to invest to, and it will be, for example, $500 a year, and then I want to fractionalize this domain name and make much more than $500 per year. So this is also something that we actually launched today, the beta of the search. My team was like rushing a little bit, like, to make it possible, and who is interested to see that search, like, we can show you.
Thanks, Andriy. I wanted to say we are going to get to, he's really doing a lot of other innovative things at his registrar, and he wants business. If you were a registrar CEO up here, you'd be thinking, hey, some of you guys, you got plenty of names. Please, check out Nicknames. And he's doing some other innovative things other than just integrating with DOMA that I'll ask him about here in a minute. But some of these features, like, basically he hasn't stopped with some forward thinking, integrating with DOMA. He's really doing some fantastic things to help us as domain investors, tokenize and then sell our names. So we'll get back to that. I wanted to say, Aron, symbolics. Okay, so 1985 was registered. A lot of us know the story, and we're like, all right, so Aron owns the damn thing. But I know Drew Rosner made you an offer. I mean, people love it because it's really a museum piece in this space. But tell us a little bit about symbolics, when you got it, and who's made you some offers in the meantime, and have you, why haven't you accepted them, and what are you thinking about doing with the name?
Yeah. So Symbolics, the company was, they were the real pioneers. I'm just the guy that got a chance to buy the name 17 years ago. As a domain investor, we like collectibles, we like rare one-of-one things, and that seemed to me like the holy grail, one of one. It's the very first one. So 17 years ago, I reached out to them just to see if they would sell, and it was perfect timing. They were having internal meetings about how to raise money to keep operations going because they were falling behind. So it kind of just fell in my lap. I've had a lot of offers of, it seems like people feel really strongly about what the site should be. Like they want to develop it out, and I'm probably not doing the highest and best use of it. I don't really know what the best use of the name is. I see it as a historical asset, kind of a cornerstone of the internet, the first digital asset with kind of provable digital ownership, kind of the genesis that started, NFTs, Bitcoin, crypto domains. So cultural relevance and public interest is like really high and interesting. I honestly don't know after 17 years what the best use of the name is, but I'm proud to be the steward of it, and I love owning it.
Yeah, it's cool that once a year, every year it comes around on its birthday. Everybody reaches out to you. We see you in the big publications. They want to know. So symbolics. But what was the offer that you got from Drew? Let's get to the nitty gritty here. What did he say?
I don't even remember. A lot of people have offered trades, two-letter.coms and stuff like that, which I've owned a ton of. That's just not interesting. It's irreplaceable to me. So any sale price would be unjustifiable for a buyer. Like I love owning it. I think it's a piece of history. It's really cool. So a lot of people have offered trades, development, stuff like that. It's just not that interesting,
Yeah. Well, when we're jumping back and forth here, but when I get ready, because I want to ask you about, Aron only invests in about, say, a dozen names at a time. He considers them high end. We'll be the judge of that. No, but if you want to learn more about Aron, you can go to napkin.com and, sort of a little history there. But I'm going to be asking you about Validator too. I really am impressed with that, and that's something that's valuable to a lot of us. Most of the guys here are builders. We see these fucking, I was going to say we see these fucking guys. Hey, Andriy, so I wanted to get with you about some of the innovative things that you're doing at, I was talking with you about some of the features and some of the aftermarket things you're going to do. Tell us a little bit more about nicknames and some of those features that are coming down the pipeline, and why we use a lot of these registrars, why we should come over and test out nicknames.
Yeah, so actually, like a couple years ago, we had the same idea as Doma protocol. We were thinking about tokenization of domain names on chain, and one of the main problems was how to make it easy for people who don't understand what blockchain is, how to make it easy for professionals in blockchain. And when Doma protocol started working, we like, oh, it's amazing partner. Like we have to connect and work together. And what we did a very easy workflow for Web2 users, like who don't have an idea how blockchain works. They don't have idea how wallets works. So we create for them custodial wallets. We giving them all the pipeline, like how to tokenize domain name and everything. So very easy, very simple. But also we have other community that is Web3 community. They like everything anonymous. They want to use their MetaMask to log into the account. So we did that too. So you can use your MetaMask to log into nicknames, and you can create anonymous account which is fully compliant with ICANN rules. So we did that too. So and basically that way we trying to make it accessible and easy to use for any community, for people who know what Web3 is and who doesn't know what Web3 is. So it's our goal to make it easy, and I think if we're somewhere there, yeah. So like it's not complicated. And next, what I just said that we're gonna offer premium domain names. Like it's like Google for premium domain names. So you will put, for example, tech startup, and we will give you relevant domain names that is relevant for tech startup, and you can filter. You can choose what you want, and you can register and immediately tokenize it on Doma protocol, and it will be beautiful name that will be attractable for fractionalization and other things. So like we're like really working on that part right now, and we had a lot of requests from our customers for bulk tokenization. That's why I was mentioning that in the already that we working on that part too. And if you have many domain names, like you will just do like few clicks and your domains are tokenized. Also, we working on our custodial wallet solution, where when you will be able to receive money, like we receive payments on your custodial wallet. But for that, we're working right now with the lawyers and like licenses and everything, like to make it possible. So you will be able to create a merchant that connected to your domain, that is tokenized, and you will be able to receive money on that wallet fully legally. So that's also one of the things that are on our pipeline right now.
If you're listening closely to Andriy, if you're a developer out there, if there's some Web3 ideas or things you think, I wish my registrar did something like that, you can reach right out to Andriy and he can make things happen. It's still a nice sized registrar, but he handles everything. The buck stops with him. And I mean, I love it that you're so innovative. And I was thinking, now that you've dealt with Fred for a while, Fred, you might want to sign up with an anonymous account there. You might get better service at nicknames because we know Fred. Okay, so I don't know with Fred. Hey, Aaron, about Validator, and then we're going to talk a little bit more about fractionalizing and the DOMA protocol. But with Validators, a company that you set up, it really helps startups. I was thinking of Alex, my friend here, when he was talking about armpits. Basically somebody has an idea for a business. You really can help them by, here's pitfalls you may run into. Well, just tell us about validator.com and how a person with an idea, beginning a business, how your website can assist.
It's kind of similar to what Richard Lau talked about earlier. We all kind of get the itch to develop and stuff, but none of us are amazing at it. So 3 years ago, I came up with an idea of creating an AI agent that helps people think through their startup ideas and launch. The tech itself isn't revolutionary anymore. 3 or 4 years ago, it blew everybody's mind. What we're really leaning into now is all the incoming data being valuable of ideas and trends that people have where ideas fall apart, and sending that data to downstream partners like site builders and stuff. They find it very, very interesting. So we have several customers that want to buy leads and see the data from all the incoming ideas. But the way that kind of dovetails into what's going on here is, again, like Richard said, we all want to develop and we all want to put effort in. And I have a couple employees on this side as well, and there just aren't as much hours in the day. I think Amar said that as well. We all want to develop, we all want to do huge things, but it takes a Herculean effort to actually build out a company and do something. So if we have something like this, to where if you have 1,000 names, you're like, gosh, I just want to develop, I want to build something really cool, just throw a couple in here to get liquidity and to get revenue coming in. And you can only really build just one massive business at a time. It's just a huge effort. I guess that's the point that I'm making. It's been a 3.5 year, just all-encompassing, swamping journey trying to build out something. And it's not for all of us. And we can only do one thing at a time. So I would throw a couple things into this just to make some money and maybe build out one big, huge project.
Yeah, we have about 10 minutes left. I can ask them many more questions. If there's any questions, please get them ready for these guys, and we'll come around. I think Chris will help us. But Andriy, so when you set up the integration with DOMA, and now are all names that are registered through nicknames tokenized? Or is it just an option for the registrant to tokenize?
So we're working as a regular ICANN accredited registrar, and people can register domains and do whatever they can do with any other registrar. But we have additional option to tokenize, to fractionalize, and everything like that. So it's an option for every client what they can do. And actually, I tokenized one of my domains on DOMA protocol, swimsuits.ai. It's one of the first domains that was tokenized. And I just checked, like right now, like how much commissions and tokens I can claim right now, and it's like about $3,000 that I can just claim today. Like, so it's perfect. So it's working. People trading, and I make passive income. And I already got about 6,000 when domain was launched, and now I have another 2,000 more. So it's cool.
Aaron, you've watched, you've watched the industry grow. You've watched, I mean, really from the beginning of uh, the crash of parking, really just trying to monetize these names. You and I were talking, and this is not really off topic. We were talking about the pros and cons of fractionalizing, of tokenizing and fractionalizing. It's not really the cons as much as sometimes the unknowns or unexplored territory. But what would make you, feel comfortable fractionalizing your names? What do you consider the pros to it? Maybe liquidity, for example, and also what do you feel the cons are? We want to,
Yeah, I'll just focus on the one thing that I think is badly needed that I think that they're covering is demand. The biggest misconception that we all have is we kind of overestimate what our names are worth and we underestimate how difficult it is to actually get the money and sell the name. You might have a portfolio worth 10 million, but we all know that these names are one of one collectibles, kind of like pieces of artwork, and it takes the right buyer at the right time at the right price. So we underestimate how difficult it is to actually get that money and liquidity. I could think Symbolics is worth X, but it's actually zero until somebody comes along and gives me the money. So I think what D3 and Doma are solving is adding extra demand. And if we can get the crypto audience into domain names, and the holy grail is maybe one of these baskets that they're thinking gets traded on Coinbase, like that would be just a complete game changer for the industry. So there's endless supply. Like there's tons of great names. We're all looking for liquidity. We're all looking for ways to cash out. If they can bring the other side of the equation, which is demand, I think that's what makes this really compelling and huge. And I don't want this to be a commercial for Doma, but that's very interesting to me.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you just from a domain investor perspective, when you have a small portfolio and really high value names, say the 5, 6, 7 figure names, I always wanted to know: do you find that your most valuable names naturally get the most inquiries, or sometimes you just have a really valuable name? You might think of 6 or 7 figures, but yet we've owned them 10 years and you don't get a lot of inquiries. I always thought that you'll know $100,000 name or a $500,000 name because you'll get inquiries monthly on it. That's not necessarily the case from some folks that I talk with, but how do you feel? Are your most valuable names the most inquired?
I have a lot of them with brokers, so they handle all of it, but it seems like a lot of the inbound inquiries aren't as high as they used to a long time ago. I don't know if that's my own perspective. Maybe it's because there's such a high volume of names that are actually publicly for sale on marketplaces. People feel like they can just go find one at any point. But the inbound inquiries aren't just pouring in like crazy like they used to. A lot of it takes actual real effort now. That's where brokers come in. Andrew Rosner, Andrew Miller, people like that have most of my big names. These one-of-one assets really are hunting the right person at the right time. So it takes actual real outbound effort. Doma kind of covers that outbound effort for you, which makes it interesting and compelling.
Yeah, I like that once you put a name on Doma, like Monty did with investors.xyz, you really see the crowd, the public starts letting you know, here's what we think what interest we actually have in this name. And then as Monty, I didn't consider, Monty wasn't bragging, was telling the truth about investors.xyz has a lot of subdomains on it. Well, that already gives the indications of interest, but then really the trading activity too. And I like the flexibility on Doma. We talked about, and I talked with Monty about pricing, being the 80% owner, still maintaining your majority in your name. And then you can price it real aggressive if you want, meaning have a buy it now that's maybe high wholesale, low retail. I like that the bonding curve sort of, it sort of takes over. It sort of decides the value in the name, but instead you still have control. You can, if you wanted to have a higher buy it now, I call it. Andriy, I wanted to ask you, because I think it's cool you were talking about, okay, I have some names, nicknames. It comes time where some of these names expire. There were some things you were going to do, innovative sort of aftermarket, some of the plans that you have in the future. Can you tell us a little bit about that, how you would help people that have names that nicknames sell their names as well, and maybe some outbounding? Just basically, what are plans in the future to help domain investors sell their names if they're a nickname customer?
Yeah, interesting question. So we already have AI that helps our clients to manage their domains. So if you want to add, for example, domain name servers, you don't have to do it traditionally. You can just ask our AI, point my domain to Doma. That's it. Like any domain already pointed. And we continue working on AI features, and we're testing right now our appraisal tools that are very, very. We have like more than 100 data points to apprise any domain that we have, like that client have on their portfolio, and the appraisal is very, very real. So like we're comparing to other tools, and this appraisal tool is like working really good, but it's not live yet. And the second AI agent that we're testing is proactive reaching out to potential buyers of premium domains. So I'm also a domain investor, and your question about like how many inquiries you're getting, it's very low. If you're just sitting on your domain names and just waiting increase, it will be like couple increase per month or per year. It's very low. But we created an AI agent that figuring out which companies, which startups could be interested in your domain. And we're offering you to send them email or contact in different ways. So like we have also this, and we're testing it right now on a couple of my own domains, and we already have some results. So it's in the future will be available for all our clients.
Thank you. Before we wrap, I want to say we partner with Chad on a few things, and we're developing a domain fund. That's why we're thrilled that really now it's a basket of names. How Fred's packaging it, basically letting us offer, instead of one name, several names at a time, a portfolio. We're going to make some announcements. We're meeting with Jebediah tomorrow. We didn't get our lists in time, so we couldn't do a big announcement here. I want to be part of a big announcement, but have to wait till next time. But we are going to make some announcements and launch some great things on Doma, and we really appreciate the eyes on it. I wish I could make the announcement now, because we certainly want what was happening with Braden. Alert.ai, fantastic name. We really appreciate everyone being here and considering investing in some of these domain names. We think we're going to have maybe some offerings that match perfectly with what Doma, the protocol, get some eyes on these things. But before we wrap up, any questions? You guys have any questions for us? Fantastic. Ender, go ahead.
Hey, thanks for the panel. So traditionally, all of domain investing was one-to-one. As a registrar, you have one domain owner. As a domain owner, you're the only owner. That's the biggest thing that's changing. All of a sudden, a domain will have, like Monty's name, like 11,000 owners. So both as a domain owner, if you had this community of other owners with you, and as a registrar, if domains had more owners, how do you kind of see this community being put to use to increase the value of the names?
I think there'd be really cool things around governance and voting about exactly what to do with the name. Like Symbolics is a prime example. It's a no, but governance around exactly what we do with this. Can we build it out? How can we get more press? How could we generate revenue with it? I think that kind of stuff is really, really cool. Voting mechanisms and things like that. I really like that idea a lot.
I don't know if I'm gonna answer your question, but I think what we're doing right now with Doma, with nicknames, it's also preparation for all this agentic future, because all the sales, all the registration could be programmable, and I think this is the future, and more AI agents, more AI tools will appear, more domain names will be registered. And in the very close future, AI agents will do that, not people. So this is also a very cool thing.
Andrew, I want to say what's most exciting to, I mean, I would say us, my partners and I, is, Fred says, yes, we want to build some of these names. Some of these names in this portfolio, we want to offer. We're not going to build on all of them, except a lot of them we're builders and we're developing these names, and we spent a lot of money in developing these names. They're sort of like, we look at a portfolio one that we're going to offer on Doma is more of an income type fund. These are businesses, and that's why some of the names might have a higher value, because it's really not just a domain name. It's something that we've built. Some of them are already generating revenue. We're not just waiting around for it to sell. But I love that both of you say, we're concerned about this. We want to continue to build. You're like, yes, you can, Todd. No one's going to stop you guys from doing it. I mean, matter of fact, we want that. And, it's sort of, we just had to hear it. And even though a lot of folks, I was going to say, I got to bring up Chad, doing some things for years, setting up platforms where you can tokenize and fractionalize, it's still very important to us to be part of what Doma's doing. The rising tide lifts all boats. Listen, it's not like, well, we're doing it over here. We have, really thought about it a lot, really prepared for this. We were like, instead of just doing some, and we probably will do some single names, but we wanted to do more than that. And it's perfect timing. So thanks for the invitation here. It's been a fantastic event, and it's nice seeing everybody, but thanks. That's going to do it for us unless there's any more questions.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Let's give these guys a round of applause.
Thanks, guys.